Okay, so this is a free training, all right, and the title of the training is Understanding Data Analysis Techniques in Research. The reason why research is at the end of that title is because we have so many types of data analysis. All right, we have data analysis for organizations. In fact, we only have two types of data analysis, the one for organizations and the one for research. So this particular training is for research, not for organization. So I'm trying to take us on a journey on the data analysis techniques you can use in the research world. Okay, most people find it difficult to know the techniques they ought to put in their paper, all right, in their thesis under their methodology, okay, that will go in line with their objectives or their hypothesis. And that's why we are having this kind of training. Okay, so, and let me make myself clear. I'm not taking us practically on how to analyze. No, because data analysis has softwares. Okay, it has softwares. I told us in class yesterday that we have SPSS. SPSS is the most used software in the field of data analysis. Okay, sciences use it, social sciences use it, engineering uses it, medical people use it. You understand? So SPSS is the most used software in the field of research. Now we have Stata. Stata is more advanced than SPSS, or let me say advanced people use Stata than SPSS. And then we have R. R is the most advanced of them all. Okay, we also have eView. eView is used more in the field of secondary research. So most likely people that use eView are economic students, all right, finance students. Are you following me? So we have different kind of data analysis software. So I'm not taking us on how to use this software, no. So I'm not taking us on how to analyze. I just want to provide understanding for us or to us on the techniques that you can use to analyze a particular objectives or a particular hypothesis. So by the time you now get to your software, you can now implement it on your software. Are you following? Okay, let me give you an example. If you know that you are going to use regression analysis, you can now take your laptop, open your eView, or open your SPSS, or open your Stata to use regression. You understand? Aha. So this training is majorly on supplying understanding on the data analysis you can use for your work. And there is a lot of things that you that are attached to it. That's why we had a long training yesterday. So I will take us from the grassroots now in this video. This video will end in the next 40 minutes. Please, I have another class which I did not plan for, but I have to take it in the next 40 minutes. So even if you do not finish this class, I will do a recording of continuation and send to us tomorrow. You understand? Aha, because I want us to have a full grasp of the understanding of data analysis techniques in research. So if you're a PhD student, you're a master student, or you're an undergraduate student, then you're in the right place. But if you are not a researcher at all, you are not a data analyst at all, you are in the wrong place. You understand? Because I will not be dealing with, I will not be talking, I will not be saying something from beginning. I will not be starting from afresh. I expect us to have some understanding of these things. You understand? All right, thank you. So I will share my screen with us now. And let's see how we do today. All right, so where I started with us yesterday was we have two types of research. We have qualitative, we have quantitative. And I told us, I was kind of explaining to us the difference between the two. Okay, because quantitative research requires some specific data analysis techniques, while qualitative also requires some specific data analysis techniques. What I'm taking us in this class is the quantitative aspect. All right, data analysis techniques in the quantitative research. Okay, but I just wanted to explain the two to us yesterday. But let me just practically demonstrate the two now. Okay, and then we can move on. Now look at this topic. Relationship marketing recommendations to increase and retain student enrollment in Nigeria primary school as a case study. All right, these are international work that we did. You can see Sheffield Hallam University. This is a UK school. You understand? But look at the topic. Immediately you see relationship. The first thing, just what I told us yesterday, the first thing that want to cross your mind is that this is a quantitative research. This is not qualitative. You understand? Now let's look at this other topic. Domestic violence in pregnancy, exploring disclosure, non-disclosure, and conflict resolution strategies in Bayelsa, a proposal. Looking at this topic, immediately the work exploring come into place. This work is turning towards qualitative research. Now we've not gotten to the objective. It's tending towards qualitative research. So the next thing we are not going to look at is what is the objectives, to now know the nature of the work itself. So let's go to the objective. This is just a preliminary work. Now let's look at the objective. We have 7 objectives here. Now look at the first one. Ascertain the types of DFA amongst pregnant women attending ANC in Bayelsa State. Now this first one, we can use quantitative for it. All right. Explore the prevalence. Once you say explore, you are dealing with qualitative. Okay. Now the person that wants this work decided that we are going to use a mixed method for it. So qualitative and quantitative, meaning that some objective will require quantitative, while some objective will require qualitative. So you can see this explore, this objective 2 is qualitative. Analyze the disclosure. This objective 3 is quantitative. Number 4, explore characteristics. This objective 4 is qualitative. Objective 5 is qualitative also. 6 is qualitative. Now look at 7. Analyze women knowledge. That is quantitative. All right, that is quantitative. You cannot difference between qualitative and quantitative now. Now, let's see. Did this person have hypothesis? No, no hypothesis. All right, so let's look at the second work. Now, look at this. Look at the objective. Assess the level of awareness of concept of relationship marketing. This is automatic quantitative. When you are dealing with assess, when you are dealing with analyze, find relationship, identify, all those ones, all those terminologies, we are dealing with what? Quantitative. Investigate the utilization, that's quantitative. Analyze the factors, that's quantitative. You understand? So now, do we have hypothesis here? All right, we have hypothesis. Hypothesis 1. I did not explain hypothesis to us yesterday, but someone asked question around it, and I spoke to us about it. Hypothesis is very important in your work, because majority of the time is hypothesis that carries inferential statistics. There are 2 types of statistics I told us yesterday. We have inferential and we have descriptive. All right. Inferentials are the one that has chi-square, ANOVA, regression, correlation. Those are inferentials. Descriptive, we have mean, median, graphs. All right. All those ones are descriptive. Now, majority of people's work will require descriptive analysis, but you must also have inferential statistics in your work. Now, most of the time, the objective is descriptive. So if you don't have hypothesis, in your work, it means that you might not be able to use inferential statistics in your work. Of course, there are some people that the inferential statistics statements are imbibed in their objectives. So that can still happen. You understand? The major thing is that you must at least use one or two inferential statistics techniques in your work, either master's or PhD. Undergraduate, well, people can still excuse you. Are you following? You can still be excusable. But when you're dealing with a master's and PhD, you must have at least inferential statistics or at least one or two in your work. And if your objectives are using descriptive, the next item should be the hypothesis, where you can use inferential statistics. Now, look at this hypothesis. There is no significant correlation between level of awareness, relationship marketing concept among schools in Lagos State and effectiveness of student enrollment. Once you see significant correlation, this statements automatically means that you are using correlation analysis. Okay. This is the positive. Look at this one. The factors considered most important by parents when choosing a school for their child do not significantly influence. So when you say do not significantly influence, okay, you can either use correlation here. In fact, the best you can use here is correlation. All right, the best you can use here is correlation. When you have anything that looks like effect of relationships, okay, you can use correlation or regression for that. But I will see explain that to us in details. Please, I will take question at the end of the stuff. So not now, so that I can flow. You understand? So you can just type something here, send the chats. I will answer you. So do we get what I just explained to us now? All right. So now let's go to the methodology. Now, can you see this is research design? Like I talked to you yesterday. It's under your research design that you tell us everything about your work. You tell us if your work is quantitative or qualitative. You tell us which are you using questionnaire or you're using secondary data. I explained that to us yesterday. Okay. And you tell us how you collect your data sets. Also, you tell us the software you are going to use. Okay. Sorry, I want to go to the. Now, let's look at this data analysis method. In this study, a thorough data analysis procedure will be used to the information gathered from the Google form. In order to guarantee the accuracy and consistency, the data will first be analyzed and organized. You can see descriptive analysis statistics and frequency distribution will be used to analyze the objective of the study. It means that all the objectives of this work, we are using descriptive analysis for it. Are you following? Now, which means the hypothesis we use what? Inferential statistics. All right. The hypothesis we use inferential statistics. Meanwhile, we have two types of hypothesis. We have the null hypothesis and we have the alternate hypothesis. All right. Some of you that will be attending my data analysis class, you understand that I have explained to us in details when to accept the null hypothesis and when to reject the null hypothesis. We have something called p-value when you're analyzing your work. All right, p-value when you're analyzing your work. Once your p-value that you got from your analysis, once it is lesser than 0.05, you reject the null hypothesis. All right. Some of you might need to watch the video again to get what I'm trying to say. Okay. When you have once your analysis gives you a value lesser than 0.05, that is 5%. You reject the null hypothesis, which means that you are accepting the alternate hypothesis. So, but when you have your value greater than 0.05, you accept the null hypothesis and you reject the alternate hypothesis. That's the law. All right. That law applies to chi-square, applies to ANOVA, applies to correlation, applies to regression, applies to almost all the analysis you are going to use. All right. We talk in that area by the time you are dealing with interpretation of your analysis. Okay, but don't let me digress. All right, don't let me digress. So now that I've explained to us what quantitative is and what qualitative is, and you can see that we have two types of data analysis. We have the descriptive and we have the inferential. So now let me go to us. Let me show us the analysis. Now look at this. So analysis of respondent social characteristics. I told you yesterday in class, the first analysis that must be done in your work is descriptive. Don't ever forget that. The first analysis that must be done in your work is what? It is a descriptive analysis. Okay? And the first table you are going to see it is under the analysis of your social demographic characteristics. Section A of your questionnaire. That is if you are using a questionnaire. Definitely, if you are using an interview guide, the same way you are going to have it. Because every time you must ask your respondent their age, their sex, some other questions, which means that you are going to use social demographic statistics. Please, I'm saying this because I've seen people come to me after the analysis do not carry social demographic characteristics. They did not analyze the section A of their questionnaire. They did not analyze the age, the sex. They just went straight to the objectives. It's not done. Descriptive is one of the most important analysis techniques you must have in your work. And you must know when to use it. You understand? You must know when to use it. So you can see analysis of the respondent. Now, this descriptive frequency and percentage. SPSS is used for this. Right? Please, mute your mic. SPSS is used for this. Okay. Okay. So this is analysis of the descriptive. Now let's look at it. You can see sex. Now this is the interpretation. You can let's look at it. Sex. You can see male, female. 68, 52 frequency, percentage 56.7, 43.3. That is descriptive. Now, this is not the interpretation of it. Sex. Table 1 showed distribution of respondent based on sex, revealing a slight male dominance with 56.7% male and 40.3% female participants. Those of you that you are attending my data analysis class, even my research class, I usually explain this to you. You must know how to interpret your data analysis, even if you did not do it yourself. All right. And the person that send your work to you, go and read the interpretation. All right. Go and read the interpretation. We interpret with the percentage, not the frequency. You know, the table I showed us have frequency and percentage, but the interpretation must follow the percentage, not the frequency. Okay. Now, for this table was done on Excel. Now, this is the age interpretation. Your work must have both the table that shows the analysis of the social demographic characteristics. It must also have the interpretation as well. Now, the interpretation can be done together or can be done separately. Age, sex, this is a separate interpretation, or it can be done together, but it must have interpretation. The table indicates that the respondent predominantly fall within the middle age groups with those age of this. So what they are just using English to explain the analysis up. That's what we are using. We are just using grammar to explain it. So let's move away from here. So you can see now this level of awareness, this is another objective. You can see that we use frequency and percentage because it has been shown that all the objective what is using frequency and percentage. You can see now frequency and percentage. Now these are the interpretation of those things. Frequency and percentage. Now hypothesis testing, non-hypothesis. Alternate hypothesis. That's hypothesis 1. The null and the alternate. The null hypothesis has not. It's a negative hypothesis. There is no significant. This no makes it null. Look at alternate. There is a. This is a positive hypothesis. This is a negative hypothesis. So when you have there is no or when any form of no in the hypothesis, it is not hypothesis. The second hypothesis will automatically be an alternate hypothesis for the first hypothesis. So each hypothesis we have the alternate and the null. Another hypothesis we have the alternate and the null. So you can see now correlation analysis in table 5. This is the correlation analysis table. All right. Now this is significant value. Okay. This is a Pearson correlation. This Pearson correlation. This is significant. We have it 0.01 here, meaning that there's no significance here. That's the meaning. But this is greater than 0.05. All right. Anyway, I'm not taking us data analysis like that now. So let me just leave that. So the second hypothesis, regression analysis was used. Okay. All right. So you can see now the significance is 0.001. This is lesser. This is far lesser than 0.05, which means that it is significant. Okay. Now discussion of findings. All right, that's all about. So let me show us another work. This is just proposal, so there's no data analysis here. All right. Some of this work are PhD work, but this is a master work actually. Now let's look at this objective. Now look at this objective. Identify the level of strategic procurement practice in the operational performance of selected federal universities. This is what? Descriptive. Descriptive analysis. Okay. Examine the combined impacts of strategic procurement practice. This is also descriptive. Now, in class yesterday, please don't ever forget this. I explained to us dependent and independent variable. I hope you can remember. Now, when you see an objective or an hypothesis, first thing you should look out for is this objective a singular variable objective or a double, more than one variable objective. Any objective that you see that is a singular variable objective, it is descriptive. Okay, now look at this. Identify the level of strategic procurement practice in the operational performance of selected federal university. That's a singular variable objective. What are we looking for? Level of strategic procurement practice is what we are looking for. So we have only one variable here. It's descriptive. Look at this one. Examine the combined impact of strategic procurement practice. So that means that impact of strategic procurement practice, that's a singular variable. But it will be another thing if they say examine the combined impacts of strategic programming practice on something. All right. If you have on something, it means that they are looking at impact of this on something. Now, that's another kind of objective. It means that we have two variables like that. We have this on what they are mentioning. But since we don't have on, we only have this, which means that we have a singular variable objectives. All right. So which means we are using descriptive. Investigate the influence of strategic automated procurement on the operational performance. Aha. Now, this objective has two variables. We have strategic automatic procurement as a variable, and we have operational performance as another variable. Now, look at this. Investigate the influence of this on this. It means that operational performance depends on this one. That's the meaning. Because they are looking at how this one influence operational performance, meaning that operational performance is the dependent variable and is depending on strategic automated procurement. All right. So our time is fast spent. So which means that operational performance is the dependent variable. Strategic automated procurement is the independent variable. I hope I'm clear. That should not be an issue for us because it's straightforward. Now, when you have this kind of objective, you need to sit down and look at it. How do we analyze this objective? Okay, now you can use descriptive for this kind of objective if you have a questionnaire that measures the two variables together. Now, for you to pick the technique you are going to use for this particular objective, you need to see the questionnaire. And you need to see what they put in the questionnaire. Let me give us an example. Let me just use it here. Let's assume in the questionnaire, they formulated, our time is fast spent, but let me explain this. And they say, strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree. And then they put a statement together. Now look at this. This is investigate the influence of strategic automated procurement on the operational performance. I can now say that I can put it here, procurement influence performance technique as the first question. Okay, I can say the next question now. Sorry, I want to explain this to us. If I can get this to us, then we can be okay. Come in. All right, so you're okay like this. So I can say the second one, strategic automated procurement affects the, we are saying operational performance affects the number of staff in the operational sector. That's the second question. Now I can now list all those questions out. Now, by the time I'm listing this out, I'm listing this out, you can see that all these questions are already answering this objective directly. As in directly. These questions is already showing if there is an influence or if there is no influence. Please stop requesting to record the video. I'm recording it. So it's already doing that, meaning that once this is done in the questionnaire, you are using descriptive to analyze this objective. We will see frequency and percentage here. That's what we are going to see. Despite this statement is a statement that ought to require an inferential statistics. All right, this is a statement that should be an inferential statistics statement. But because the questionnaire was designed in a way that we cannot use inferential statistics, we can only use descriptive. Now, if you want to use inferential statistics for this statement, it means that we need to draw a questionnaire only for strategic automated procurement separately and draw another table for operational performance separately. So you have a table in your questionnaire that deals with this and a table in your questionnaire that deals with this, not a table that deals with both together. This table is dealing with both together. That's why we are going to use descriptive for it. We cannot use inferential for it. Okay, but if you plan to use inferential for this statement, it means that when you are designing your questionnaire, all right, when you are having the instrument that will measure your variables in your objectives, strategic automated procurement table must be on its own. You must put questions that answers strategic automated procurement on one table, and then bring up another table in your questionnaire. That can be section B or section D or section E that will measure the operational performance. So you can now use inferential statistics, either chi-square. Looking at this particular statement, the best you can use here, all right, automated strategic procurement on inferential performance, the best you can use is correlation. All right, best can use correlation. When you are using chi-square, you are dealing with I told us you are dealing with association. Or you are dealing with association. So if you are using correlation for this, it means that you are going to correlate this against this in your analysis. Do we understand? This is the first thing I want us to get, because people can have 7 objectives and they can have this kind of statement, they can have 4 of it. But in the questionnaire, they measure them together. So they are going to use descriptive. But they will be expecting the analysts to use inferential and be saying this is an inferential statement. You can't use descriptive for it. But in the questionnaire, the way you designed it is only descriptive that can work for it. So if you know you are going to use inferential statistics for it, then you should design your questionnaire the way I just taught us now. Each variable must stand on its own, must have its own table. Are you following? In case you don't have hypothesis and you have an objective that has, all right, an objective that has inferential statistic statement, then you should go for what I just taught us now. Separate the table for each of the variables. This variable will stand on its own, and this will stand on its own. Please, do we get what I just explained to us now? So this is the background I want to lay tonight. Our time is fast spent. I have less than 1 minute with us. So I will do another recording overnight or tomorrow morning where I will explain in details when you can use chi-square, ANOVA, t-tests, and COVA. All right. Regression analysis. I will do that video for us. All right. Because our time is fast spent now, but I needed to make this introduction so that we can have this at the back of our mind. All right. So please, if you have questions, the time is seriously gone. So if you have questions, I will not answer it on this Zoom. Chat me.